Folk is not and should not be viewed as a news source. Any names, places, or likenesses mentioned are purely fictional, and any information discussed is purely speculative. Guest opinions are their own and do not reflect those of anyone else. Where in the Folk is not responsible for content accuracy of any stories that are told or what people do with these stories. This show is vulgar, sometimes graphic, and due to its content, it should not be viewed by anyone actually.
Love it.
Welcome everyone to another episode of Where in the Folk. I hope everybody had a great week. Usually we throw around some banter at the beginning of these episodes, but I want to talk about somebody that usually is in the chat that is no longer there. Mike Lewis passed away last week on October the 4th. Of course, the passing will be felt by many people. I look forward to seeing him pop up in the comments before every show, about 30 minutes before every show. I know that he made a lot of people happy with his Good Morning posts on Facebook and things of that nature, and he always made us happy with his comments. So rest easy, Mike, and you know all the secrets now, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, our this show going forward will be dedicated to Mike.
No, but
Mike's a wonderful guy.
he was a wonderful person. And
Hey everybody, hey Nick, hey Rebecca, Harrison.
But as they say, the show will continue. So how was your all's week? Anything interesting happened?
Another nice storm coming through, but we didn't have to worry down here, and looked like you all didn't have to worry too much about it either this time.
Nope.
But otherwise,
some people were saying that the native burial grounds is what took it from a category 6 to a 2 by the time it did you see that?
Yeah.
I did not see that.
There was a whole big thing about the native grounds. Okay. Oh shit, Harry, sorry. I see Harrison and it just throws me off.
And I just didn't know.
But my favorite thing about this storm was, have you seen that guy that they call Lieutenant Dan on TikTok?
Yes.
Mo's been telling me all about him.
This crazy son of a bitch. He just tethered his boat to the dock and said, I'm going to chill out right here. And like, it's a little bitty boat.
So
perfectly fine.
There's a lot of controversy about that fellow. Apparently he tried to set a woman on fire. And, like, he has a pretty extensive background, and people were like, well, what do you expect out of a man who's living alone on a boat? Like, what do you expect? He's just trying to get away from the world. And the people who, like, the influencers on TikTok, were trying to raise money for like him a new boat and stuff. Mm-hmm. And one of those influencers, after they found out about his rap sheet, was like, whoa, we can't do this. And everybody's like, what are you talking about? Like, why would you not do research before making this whole big thing about this man who's just trying to keep to himself?
Mm-hmm. Well, and Mo said also that another thing, too, that the guy that had offered like $50,000 or something like that, the one that, tried to back out of it, had said that it was because he was a pedo. And Mo's like, yeah, well, he's been following it close all week because the guy's, he's also handicapped. He's missing a leg. Evidently he was an addict, and that's when all the stuff about trying to catch the woman on fire and jumping on a police officer, but evidently he's supposedly clean now, and he's been living on this boat since he got out of jail. But said that this guy had told him, hey, if he made it through the storm, he would donate $50,000 on the new boat. That way he could do lives, under their auspices and everything. And said that when all the stuff came up about him being in jail, said he didn't deny it, said he was perfectly honest about his addiction and everything like that. And the guy goes, no. It's because, he was arrested for this. And that was a totally different person. A little bit of research, and they discovered that the one that he was making the accusations about was a totally different guy in a different
place. He was just trying to get out of paying.
I think that was it. But he said by the time people got done, said this guy has old Christian women around the country. Oh, no. Everybody has a past. Everybody can make mistakes. He's gotten his life together. Don't make us come down there and find you.
Well, and I think his daughter came out of the woodwork too in the last day or two, to talk about his addiction and stuff like that. So
right.
I don't know. I just hope the best. Like, I hope if he just wants peace, that he gets to find his peace and people leave him alone.
Absolutely. Because he blew up overnight. I mean, Jim Cantori interviewed him the night before the storm. The mayor came and saw him because they wanted him to go to the shelter, and his stance was, this is all I own in the world. If it goes down, I'm going down with it.
Right.
And so he came through it. I mean, and that was his thing. He said, God got him, got him sober, and God got him through the storm. And that's when the old Christian ladies started coming out, because God had, worked miracles on this guy. And
hey, Landa. You missed our we dedicated the show to Mike, and the show's going forward. But
I mean, when I grew up in Florida, we lived next to a guy that had a houseboat, and the story is that he decided to live in a boat too. And for the longest time, we heard that he was killed in a hurricane. But my dad went back down maybe 5 or 6 years before he passed away, and he said he ran into him. So he had faked his death, apparently.
Crazy.
It's funny, and since it's kind of weird news, when I used to work in Long Beach, down on the coast here, and the guy that I worked for, this guy he went to high school with had been lost at sea. They found his boat, did the whole 9 yards and everything, but they never found his body. And they had, a big memorial service, and said, a couple of years later, he was talking to another one of their classmates, and he's like, oh yeah, by the way, they found Sam, or whatever his name is. He goes, ooh, he couldn't have been in real good shape. Oh no, he's alive and well in California. He just faked his death because his wife pissed him off.
That's crazy.
Like, oh my God.
That sounds like something you would do, Cecil.
I've already got a plan for that. I'm on the Walter White it and go out into the wild for about a week or two, and then come back just stark ass naked at Walmart. Like, how did I get here?
Well, so I did bring I don't know if we want to call it a Friday feel good, but it is funny.
Yes, it is.
So there was a woman in Washington that had to call the police because dozens of hungry raccoons were taking over her property. So apparently this lady was feeding just random animals. And she said that she'd been feeding raccoons near her home for 35 years and ended up calling the police when she found herself surrounded by nearly 100 raccoons who were starving. She said that she'd been giving them food, and about 6 weeks ago, more than usual just started showing up. She said that they surrounded her day and night demanding food, and that she said that she's offered people as high as $500 per raccoon to trap and relocate them. So she's now apparently working with Fish and Wildlife to remove them. But I mean, how bad does it have to get for your house to get surrounded by 100 raccoons beating your windows at night for some food?
That's it. Hey.
Raccoons freak me out because they have the opposable thumbs, and I don't like anything that can twist doorknobs like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What if they were like opening their doors and stuff? Like get in the house.
I've got doggy doors, so I make sure. Yeah, let's not feed the animals.
You'd be up the creek.
When I started over in Clay County, we had a dog feeder out on the porch. I looked out there, and there was one that looked like it was about 4 feet tall, just sitting there going. Water, and I was like, "Oh my God, that's terrifying."
I did have a teacher back in grade school tell us that if you fed raccoons, to make sure you didn't give them bread because they wash their food. if there's a water source, they're going to wash it before they eat it. So not to ever give them bread, but I'm glad that I never gave them anything at this point. And my mom actually had one when we were kids.
We don't lock our doors in Clay County.
I don't lock mine either, but do you know I do have an alarm and 47 cameras, so it works.
But that I don't know. Raccoons they're so freaky. I just don't.
Y'all, I saw a picture of a white one the other day. They make the other ones not look nearly as freaky. They are creepy looking.
Harry said they don't have saliva glands.
Yeah, that's why
okay. That's why they wash them. That makes sense. Huh.
Yeah. At least they ain't gonna spit on you.
You're right. Well, Cecil, do you want to cover the Kentucky story of the week?
Oh, wow. My husband even told me about that one today. I'm like, yeah, I've heard this.
Yeah.
I literally, whenever Mandy told me about this, I had to fact check her because I hadn't seen it anywhere.
Same.
Nowhere. And I looked it up. I was like, oh, okay. So a worker at a property in Mount Olivet, roughly 50 miles southeast of Cincinnati. What's it got to do with Cincinnati?
It's it's considered to be the greater Cincinnati area.
I think I'm reading the wrong thing.
Are you?
No.
I think it's close to Owenton. Like I think you're in the right area.
So they called authorities after discovering a body in a backyard, and they called into the Kentucky State Police. Officers arriving at the scene found dismembered, a bloody mattress and bloodstains on the back porch and a threshold of the back door, as detailed in the recitation. Police secured a search warrant, and they eventually arrested a 32-year-old Torlina May Fields. I wonder if they're related to the Fields around here.
I don't know. I was talking to Cecil about this before the show. Apparently, when they went to arrest this lady, so she's cooking body parts, by the way.
Yeah.
Basically like cauldron style. And when they came to arrest her, she was apparently, it sounded like she was slinging hoodoo.
Yeah.
Like
she was casting spells.
Like she was casting spells as they were arresting her.
Yeah.
So I think there's a little bit more going on there, maybe than what the police may be letting on.
Well, when they got there, she refused to leave. She was covered in blood, like head to toe, covered in blood. So they had to use gas and communicated with her with a robot. So whatever voodoo she was throwing out at them, they were throwing out the voodoo of the future and tossing in mechanics in this situation.
Yeah, well, it just doesn't that remind you? So for those of you that may not have been listening too long, we have a friend that we've talked to many, many times in South Africa, and he talks about these markets where you can go and basically purchase human parts for these rituals, for these sort of hoodoo rituals. And it sounded very similar to some of the stuff that he's talked about people doing in South Africa.
Now they said when they entered the residence, they seen the pot that was full of the human remains and it was still warm to the touch. I wonder if this wasn't like her trying to get rid of remains, like boiling the meat off the bone. You know what I mean?
There's easier ways, dude.
I mean, there's easier, but are there more effective? I shouldn't say that.
We can discuss this after hours.
Yeah.
I've done the research, Cecil.
Yeah. Rebecca, I think she was definitely on her way. I think there's something more there than just a murder.
Yeah, it is that time of year when people come out of the woodwork. I mean, it's wow. But there are better ways that wouldn't bring quite so much attention to you. You've got evidently she's got close enough neighbors that they're seeing bodies in the yard.
Yeah.
And plus, flesh has a certain smell.
Oh yeah, it's sweet. I'm discussing it.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. So yeah, I'm like you. I think you could have come up with a better way.
Yeah.
Well, come to find out, it was her mother So I mean, maybe there was some animosity there. I don't know.
Could
There's
be.
Her mother was the victim.
yes, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But still,
Yeah.
like that, yeah. Like if not for ritual, then there's got to be some kind of crazy mental thing going on there.
Come on, Landon, you haven't ever burned yourself cooking?
Oh no. no. We're gonna avoid that one.
But I mean, so apparently they've charged her. I don't think they charged her with murder or anything, but they definitely got her for abuse of her corpse, and mutilation and things like that. So we'll see what happens. I kind of want to see what this turns into.
Yeah. The next Gypsy Rose.
Yeah. Further than Gypsy Rose, but yeah. Maybe, I mean, or maybe your mother just passed away. I mean, there's instances where people do that in Kentucky. People just die at their house and they're like, oh no,
Yeah,
cops out here. Like there was one guy, his wife passed away in Sand Hill years ago, and she passed away in the house, pretty much natural causes, I think. And he didn't want to get the cops involved, so he just put her under the trailer.
Well, there was a guy in Japan that they went to do a wellness check because I guess over there, once you get a certain age, they're just apt to show up at your house.
Yeah.
And he had been dead on his couch for 32 years.
That's
The
mean.
family had kept collecting his government check for 32 years after he passed away.
crazy.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody better take my check.
And the same thing you said, it was natural causes. I mean, they did everything, but they still, of course, charged them with, fraud and several other things.
I can hit the conspiracy ditch for a minute.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the underbelly of news this week, but one of the largest water suppliers in America, American Water Works, their systems were hacked this week. They supply drinking water and wastewater services to more than 14 million people. And on Monday, a group of hackers said that they breached the computer networks and systems, prompting it to pause billing to customers. And they're acting like this is no big deal. They released a statement saying that in an effort to protect our customers' data, we disconnected and deactivated certain systems. There won't be any late charges while these systems are unavailable. Wow. And the company basically just said that they notified law enforcement and they're cooperating with them. But I feel like in the grand scheme of things, like you think about how hard they hit some of the stuff, like we've talked about TikTok a bunch, but how up in arms they get about your data integrity when it comes to TikTok and stuff like that. But then literally one of the biggest, most important parts of our infrastructure gets hit, and it's barely even talked about in the news.
It makes me miss well water. I thought I'd never say that. I grew up with well water and I hated it, but now I wish I still had that well water.
Yeah, I have well water. The only complaint I have is pressure. I'd like to be a little bit, stronger pressure, but I wouldn't trade it. Pull
that pipe out of the ground 200 or 300 feet and then tweak up that motor on the end of it.
That's a lot of work. You don't realize how much 200 feet is until they have to pull that damn thing out.
Yeah.
Been there and done that.
I watched my dad do it when I was a kid. It's crazy.
Yeah. I just, I don't know. Like it, this kind of stuff keeps just like glazing, like barely making news. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, what is going on? Like, because next week it'll be TikTok again. Mm-hmm. And whenever like our infrastructure is literally just being hit by random hacker groups. Yeah. Luckily none of them's been malicious so far, but it just shows the vulnerabilities. And this should like be perking everybody's ears up, because these are 14 million people went without water. That'd be a huge deal, like huge stress on our economy.
Yeah. And I'm going to tell you something, and this is just from a because of the fact that I have well water, when your pump stops and you don't know how to prime it and stuff, you learn early on how to hoard water.
Mhm.
You save every plastic gallon jug with a screw on top you can get your hands on. And we've been here for 23 years. And for 22 of those years, I have been putting water back because of that. And like I said, which, with times being what they are, it's just a good practice anyway. But
yeah, there was not even just like all the stuff that we've been talking about recently, like with really since this time last year, like all the trains, all the food plants, all the farm animals that have been culled.
Yep.
It seems like this just keeps evolving. And there was also, I don't know if you guys were able to cover this last week, but there was another train that exploded in close to Cincinnati in Cleves, Ohio.
About last week. We literally covered nothing on that list because I was like, I don't know if we've done these or not.
we did do a couple of things that were on there, and then were a few that we had done prior.
I think in your delirium, you just like copy and pasted like a one from like 2 months ago.
Oh, no. Nothing on the list had been covered. What happened was you had canceled the week before that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So it was the same list, but we never had a show.
Right.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Hurricane Helene canceled that week.
Yeah, so there was they were clearing out near Cleves, Ohio. This was week before last. There was a big explosion on a rail car, and it was leaking dangerous chemicals. There's actually a video, but you don't have to pull it up. If you just go and search gas leak train in Cleves or near Cincinnati, it literally looked like something out of a movie. It looked very similar to the East Palestine stuff. Just chemicals spraying in the air. And then
was that a separate incident than the one that happened in Georgia or Mississippi? I can't remember which state, where the pool factory.
Yeah, it's completely separate from that. And you can, I mean, if you want to pull the video up, you can. The YouTube link's in there. But it was leaking styrene, which is a toxic, flammable chemical used to make plastic and rubber. And everybody around here has been getting sick too, including myself. So, I mean, who knows what kind of impact that had on sinuses and just overall health. But they just let it go up. Like they didn't do anything about it.
Wow.
Spray some water on it.
Rub some dirt on it, it'd be fine. I don't know. I'm trying to get the video pulled up right now. So bear with me. Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's kind of alarming to see initially, especially when I live so close to this. So you just have styrene spraying out of this train.
Literally spraying out. This comes to you from AP News, the Associated Press.
Yeah, that can blow right to your house.
Yeah.
This
so
here.
And it's very close to the Little Miami. If you're a fan of the Frogman, some of this gas probably got into the river where the Frogman is.
So what's the point of pouring water on? Just trying to cool it down so it'll quit spraying out? Okay.
Probably. Like it's very flammable. Okay. So I'm sure that if it kept spraying like that without any water, it would have probably been a big flame. Like
gotcha.
Yeah.
So that happened. Well, go ahead.
Another thing that I saw, and this has been a couple of weeks ago too, and I don't think we touched it either, was overseas, and I forget where, so forgive me, about all of the damn pagers exploding, like thousands of them.
Yeah.
And it first it threw me because the fact that we don't have pagers over here anymore. The only people that have pagers are doctors.
That was Lebanon, I think.
Okay, yeah, that sounds right. Because when I worked at AT&T, we still had to keep pager software because doctors do still carry pagers. which is
that makes sense.
Strange as hell to me because, I hadn't had one since like the 90s, early 90s.
Yeah.
But so it, that threw me. But then, when they talked about the sheer number of people who were killed when this happened.
Yeah, because it was like a marketplace. It was like a person selling those.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget, there was a terrorist group that took responsibility, I think, on that.
I don't remember the group. But yeah, that's crazy. So it originated in a marketplace. Some cat just sitting there with a bunch of pagers. Hey, I got pagers. Come get it.
Yep. Somebody called them. Somebody must have swapped them out or something, and somebody called them, and they just went off.
Mm-hmm. So it must have been like a group thing where it was on that same frequency or something because, like I said, they all went off at the same time. And
yeah, I think it might have been ISIS that took responsibility for that.
I don't know. I can't speak on it. I don't know much about it.
I can't remember now either.
Well, what do you guys think about? Like I sent this to Harry and company in the Discord. I know I sent it to you guys. Hey, Sarah.
Hey, Sarah.
The Northern Lights. Did you see the geostorm stuff? The warning about they're like, the grid might be affected, and layer that with the new mini moon that we have for the next 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
There's some bizarre celestial stuff. I was asking Harry last night. I was like, have you ever heard of the Northern Lights being just like a regular occurrence this far?
This
south?
Has been like the third time this year, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Has anybody seen the Northern Lights this far down with the naked eye, though?
No,
they were alleging to yesterday. I didn't see them, but there were people posting videos and pictures and be like, I can actually see it.
Yeah, I got somebody from Texas that actually said that they could see it, but I couldn't.
At the first time it came around, everybody's like, you got to change the exposure on your phone, put your thumb on the flash.
Yeah.
Nick sent me the most compelling picture from the first time. It's one of the blue squiggly marks and red squiggly marks.
Yeah. And there's a lot of people who are skeptical that those are actually the Northern Lights too. A lot of conspiracy people. I'm sure you guys have seen the same conspiracies floating around.
I did see, the girl y'all interviewed back when we first started doing stuff together from Iceland.
Yeah.
I'm on one of her chats, and now they had some crazy Northern Lights.
Oh, I'm sure.
They're in Iceland, but they were talking about just the insanity of them and everything. So, like I said, I know it affected them, but I'm the same as you. I don't know. Last time we had it, I didn't do all the funky stuff people were saying do, and I just threw my phone up and took a picture and actually got, color and stuff. Mm-hmm. But, that could have been something Apple was sending out to everybody's phone to make them think they were getting it.
Yeah.
So,
for sure.
This says that the second moon is supposed to be with us until the 25th of November. Mm-hmm. Now it's an asteroid. They've named it 2024 PT5. It was identified by Atlas, which is the impact alert system. And I guess for whatever reason, the gravity is strong enough to keep the asteroid in orbit, but not to pull it to Earth. Mm-hmm. Which sounds weird to me. Like
it's supposed to be when we get to a certain angle from the sun's supposed to take it from us.
Got you.
Yeah,
okay.
That was my understanding. As we make that, winter turn, it's supposed to take it from us
as we drift around the sun.
Yeah. So this says that NASA currently is tracking the orbits of 28,000 asteroids using Atlas. Wow. Which is it says that if there's any large object within 4.7 million miles, it picks it up as potentially hazardous and starts following the trajectory.
Okay, here's the thing. I've seen Armageddon. Do you really think they're going to tell us if one's on that trajectory?
Oh, that's so crazy that you brought that up. I watched that last week, and I cried like a baby. go,
I
buddy.
didn't see that, Harry. Harry said that we're going to be getting a comment the next few nights as well.
What I
Isn't the
was,
we
put on a show. It's going to put on a show.
we have a storm, meteor storm next month?
Okay.
I was reading through these comments a little bit. So Rebecca had posted earlier that what we was talking about sounds like the girl that's parents left her decomposing on the couch, and Landa wanted to know who it was. And later it was found out that it was a lady by the name of Lacey Fletcher. And all I could think was that's something Fletcher would do.
Yeah, I can see that.
The Orionids are from September 26th to November 22nd. They peak November 20th and 21st.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
And there's also some quantum news that I've had in here for a while. This one's pretty funny. So there was a quantum breakthrough for zero loss energy efficiency. Basically, there's topological insulators that are capable of transmitting electricity without any loss and may function in fractal or fractional dimensions such as 1.58. This is basically going to pave the way in quantum computing through fractal structures that could find a way to make energy or electric currents flow without any energy loss or heating, which I think is super important. You think about these big computer farms and stuff and how hot they get, like even to mine crypto and stuff.
Yeah.
But what I thought was funny about this, if you look at the like, it's not even gematria really. It's just like the frequency pattern. It looks exactly like the Legend of Zelda picture, like the Legend of Zelda triangle.
Uh-huh.
I don't know, Cecil, if you could snip a pic of that, or just snip a pic of that whole block where the three images are, but it literally looks like the Legend of Zelda. And the theoretical physicists are saying that this could be used for energy efficient information processing. And I mean, full disclosure, I think that they already have quantum computing. Like, I don't think that's a thing they're still working on, but it is interesting that they, we keep, yeah. Does that not look like the Legend of Zelda triangle?
That's the actual one, the last one.
Yeah, I can see it.
Like the one on the left, particularly, I think looks like the original, like Ocarina of Time.
Mm.
So they say Link. They're trying to access Link to the world.
Yeah.
Shoot.
So yeah, the quantum realm has gotten particularly weird lately. Because there's another article, because I just surf through physics articles in my spare time, that was talking about they did a quantum experiment in the last little bit where they found evidence of negative time. Now this is a weird one. So basically they're observing particles. They were observing lot particles and have found that these particles can spend a negative amount of time zipping through a cloud of chilled atoms. In other words, the photons can seem to exit a material prior to entering it.
Chilled atoms, are they smoking weed or something?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the commentary we need for this. So basically what it sounds like is almost a glitch in time space. And it's interesting that they're publishing these kind of articles, because usually this is stuff that you would find like buried in DARPA white papers or something like that. But this was actually in like a peer-reviewed physics journal. And there are, of course, people being like just discounting it, saying that it was that it was basically just strange looking because any physical property associated with Lot can have anomalies like this, I guess. But there's this whole group of physicists that are like, no, like we are literally watching this thing basically like glitch time space.
Sweet.
So yeah, we're on the precipice of maybe time travel. Speaking of time travelers, I don't know if for all of you guys out there that doom scroll TikTok, I don't know if you remember earlier this year, there was a time traveler that went viral on TikTok, and one of his predictions was that in 2024, the world would see their first hurricane surpass Category 5.
Yeah.
Yep, they're talking about adding a Category 6.
So yeah, maybe there is a time traveler out there somewhere.
Well, you know, go ahead, Cecil.
I mean, that's possible. I fully believe in time travel. So yeah.
Yeah. You know, but on the weather, you know, I had a friend that was ticked off this week because some guy went on and on about the fact that the government doesn't manipulate weather, especially hurricanes. You want to take that one, Tully?
You know,
at this point, if anybody believes they do not manipulate the weather, after they post stuff says, "Hey, we made it rain in Dubai," then 3 weeks later, Dubai floods like we didn't have nothing to do with that.
So there was an ABC correspondent that addressed exactly what you're saying. They're like, "Oh yeah, they do cloud seeding, but that has nothing to do with hurricanes." And I think what
a hurricane is a fast cloud. It's a fast cloud.
So I'll say this: if you guys are interested in weather manipulation, 2 months ago, oddly enough, a good timing on our part, we did about 3 hours on the history of weather manipulation in the United States. If you haven't checked that out, go to it should be any like YouTube, Rumble. I forget what BitChute. I forget what episode it was, but it literally says history of weather modification. But all I had to say to that person, the ABC person, was like if you just Google, you can actually Google this and just put in NOAA hurricane 70th anniversary or just 70th anniversary NOAA. It's going to bring up the 70th anniversary of hurricane seeding.
Do you think that they picked that name because whenever you tell people that they're seeing hurricanes, they go, "No."
No, I could literally, when you sent that, though, see your expression when she showed it to you.
I'm just like, how are these people blatantly lying to everybody? And I know the answer. It's because people would rather live in a comfortable life without any challenges to their comfortability. And I think that's a hard truth to know, that you're in we are in a grand experiment. And I think that's a hard truth for a lot of people.
Yeah.
To know that there are all these oddities going on.
Well, that's my son was telling me earlier that he games, and he was gaming with this guy, and the guy's a vegan. And my son's like, "Dude, there is nothing in this world that you could ever say that will make me vegan. I like meat." You know? Yeah. And he goes, "Well, how do you differentiate between what's food and what's a pet?" And the guy picks his dog up and has him playing dead. Stephen goes, "You're under the impression that I wouldn't eat that dog." The guy got really offended, you know, but I'm like, hey, in an apocalypse, I'm more apt to eat you than I am that dog.
Well, I mean, I know that my dogs would willingly give up their life for mine. And if I starve them to death, I'd let them do it.
Well, it's like he and I were talking. I would not eat one of mine because there are going to be plenty of other ones running around. And depending on how that person's acting, the dog's got a better chance of living.
Yeah. I don't know if they'll ever let it get that bad. Like we were talking earlier about, like, if they just shut the water off or, shut the grid down or whatever, because I think the people that would have to fear the most aren't your layman, your everyday person. I think it would be the people who have caused all of this chaos for years and years and years and years.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think they would. I think it'd probably be more of a frog in pot situation. They'd just slowly turn the heat up on us rather than letting it all go sideways at once.
Oh, yeah.
I said that looking directly in this puppy's eyes right here.
But yeah, I would think one of the most sort of damning cases of the hurricane thing was, they seeded the one that hit, what was it, Savannah?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They seeded one that hit Savannah. They sued the government over it. And the government at that point, very similar to Project Mockingbird, was like, oh, our bad. We're just going to, we'll stop. It's fun. Yeah. So if you haven't checked that out, we really did it was like 2.5, 3 hours on the full history. I think tomorrow we're going to cover some more government projects that have been going on throughout the years. And we may bring up some of that, but it's not going to be focused on weather. But
before we sign out, I just want to bring up something I was going to cover. But I'll make it quick. It's really long. If you want to look it up, you can. But the last time your Bible study was disrupted, how bad was it? What was happening? Well, in San Diego, California, there happens to be a church right next to a spa, and there were some people enjoying a nice little Bible study when all of a sudden they heard viciously loud groans and moans coming from the spa where they were having extremely loud sex. And the spa has been ordered to pay the church $600,000 to settle a civil and criminal case against them. So go look that up. That'd be a fun read.
That's
criminal? How was that criminal? Disturbing the peace, I guess?
I don't think the spa had a license to bang.
Okay. All right.
Lord. Anyway, come over to Weird Awakenings in 15 minutes. We're going to be covering the dark web. So if you want to learn about the dark web or speculate with us, go to Weird Realities with a Y. Facebook, YouTube, Twitter.
Landa, this is why you're one of my favorite people.
Dark internet, you say, huh?
Yep, the dark web.
Are you going to the Mediterranean or like what's happening?
Deep dark
web. So go over there and check them out. Hell, if I ain't got nothing to do, I might make an appearance.
You should scoot over.
Let's just scoot over. Let me go in here and judge her reaction when I say, "Hey, you care if I do another podcast?" But yeah, go and check out everything at Weird Realities Network. There's all kinds of cool and neat stuff happening over there, from movie reviews to scary stories to weird awakenings that covers everything from top to bottom.
Yep. And we will probably be here tomorrow. What time you guys want to do? 7 again? 8?
That works.
Yeah. I've got a long day of yard work to do tomorrow, so I would love to do nothing better.
So we'll put out a promo tomorrow. Just plan on being here with us at 7, and we'll start diving in on some government white papers.
7 Eastern.
Yep, 7 Eastern, 6 Central.
Yep, 5 Mountain Time.
And
4. Yeah. 2. What was it? 2 Hawaiian time.
There you go.
Yep. So thank you all for watching us, because we are watching you.